coming back to the present, guys, I mean, obviously, Jorge, 2020 looks so promising. You had such a difficult year last year, that emotional press conference in Valencia where you announced your retirement, and then there was the kind of dream return in many respects, going back to Yamaha as their test rider. Unfortunately, with the current situation, you haven't been able to spend as much time on the bike as you'd like to. It looks now like the wildcards that you planned, certainly in Barcelona, possibly later in the year in Misano and Motegi, they won't happen as well. So where are you at really about the present and the future, really?
Well, I'm worried in a certain thing, no? Not so much worry because I take this job just as a hobby because I like to ride, and I think it was a good opportunity to keep riding with the bike and at the same time give something to the brand that gave me the opportunity to enter in MotoGP and gave me these 3 world titles. But if this don't happen and I don't take this job anymore in the future, I will be okay the same. No, obviously I would like to keep being the test rider of Yamaha, but it's not it's a thing that don't let me sleep at night.
Yeah.
So yeah, obviously I would like that this situation gets better for everyone, for just for our bodies, no, for the to be better in terms of health, and obviously to ride, no. But I don't know if I will be able to make a race without testing before the race, like I was planning to do in Montmeló.
Sure. And how does this current situation perhaps impact on your future decisions? Because I spoke with Lynn Jarvis a few weeks ago, and he seemed pretty convinced that if you had shown that you were fast enough, that you were competitive enough in some of the wildcards, that you would have seriously considered coming back or trying to come back full time in 2021. Does this situation change that? And was that fair? Were you seriously looking at maybe racing again in the future?
Honestly, I didn't take the decision to race in Montmeló for testing me as a rider, no, and to be able to understand or to feel that I can come back again to racing. I think I closed this chapter of my life for the moment, at least for the moment. At the moment, I don't feel this necessity or this will to come back. You never know in this life. For this, I don't close any.
Hey, Jorge, that's a hell of a track for you to do a wild card if it's just for fun.
Where? In Montmeló.
It's not like you're not fast there, so come on.
No, but you know that you don't have the same lifestyle than a professional MotoGP rider. You don't train the same. You don't take it so seriously. And when you go there and try to beat these guys, you need to be 100%, no? So that's why I already changed and sweep a little bit my mentality to go there just to have fun and just to enjoy the weekend, not try to make any special result,
But he also was looking at Misano and Motegi as well.
Even if Ben doesn't believe.
It's a hell of a track just to have fun on.
He put a face that I don't believe what he's saying.
Okay, so I got 2 questions for Jorge then.
Go for it.
So out of your 3 championships, which one was the hardest for you? And then when you were a kid, I know when you were 7 and 8 years old, you had the dream to race. But when did you know that you were going to be able to make a living doing it? You didn't know what you were going to win, but you knew that's what you were going to do, and you were going to get paid to ride a motorcycle. How old were you?
So first question was which championship was the hardest? And second one, when was the moment that I understand that I was going to be professional?
Yeah.
So hardest world title was probably, I would say, 2015. Even if the first one, you have a lot of pressure because you never did it before. But, I was lucky enough to win a lot of races and have a clear advantage compared to Danny. So he injured in Motegi and he cleared up a little bit my way to the first championship. 2015 was a different history because already in Qatar, Valentino won the race and I finished 4th. and I was already behind him in the point championship. So for 17 races, I was second in the championship, behind him, trying to catch him. Sometimes I really see the championship impossible, like the time I break up some ligament training in Sete's house in that period, and I came to Motegi completely injured, and I start leading the race. I went away on the rain conditions. I expected and I hoped to win the race, but finally I finished third, and Valentino beat me up. So again, very, very far from the points. I see this is impossible. And then, I was coming into the end of the championship, thinking it was impossible to get the championship, and then came the Malaysia thing. So I got this opportunity in Valencia to win the championship, and I didn't miss this opportunity. So it was very difficult because all the championship behind, and just in the last race, I lead the championship and I win the championship. The second question was when I understood it with 10 years old. When I won my first national championship, I understood that, and then I reconfirmed when I win the first World Championship race in Derby, because I go through 6th place as my best result directly to win the race. I didn't make any podium. So when I won the first race in the World Championship 2003 with 16 years old, I said, okay, I will not go back to do normal jobs as officinist or.
Yeah, somebody asked me that question too about when I knew, and when I was 8, 9 years old, I had the dream that that's what I was going to do. But when I was 12 years old, I knew that it was what I was going to do, and I didn't know how much I could do it and what I could make doing it. But I was good enough to make money racing motorcycles. So I was just wondering what your age was that you knew. So that's cool.
Because you raced 600 or 1,000 when you were a kid, practically, no? I saw some pictures with 14 years old riding the 600.
I was on a 600 when I was 13, 14. But, yeah, I was 125s when I was 12 and 250 when I was 13, 14. So, yeah, when I was on 125s, that was...
You were already tall in that age.
Yeah. When I was pretty short until I got to about 15. So when I was on 125s and 250s, it wasn't too bad. But then I started getting tall, and it wasn't a real problem until I came and rode your bikes with you. So,
but as a neutral like we are, I mean, one of the things that most people were looking forward to in 2020 was seeing Jorge race a Yamaha again at Barcelona. It was going to be incredible. From your point of view, I mean, how cool would that have been to see him racing a Yamaha again, having come through such difficult times? I mean, you've experienced tough times yourself, of course, with the injury. I mean, how cool would it have been to have seen him back racing a Yamaha again this year?
No, I mean, it would have been awesome. It was one of those things. I mean, me and Jorge, we talk quite a bit. There might be a month or two we don't talk, and then we catch up about stuff and kind of give the down low on everything. It was one of those things the day that he got on the Yamaha. I sent him a message on just one of his Instagram, story posts, and I just said, looked back at home immediately, and it looked exactly like it was 2011 to 15, and you can just tell when he's comfortable, leading with his head in turns and that type of style, and it was just immediate back on the Yamaha. So as much as it's, fun wild cards and stuff like that, if there was a couple tests and he was at Catalunya, he ain't going to be slow. So it would have been fun to watch for sure.
What about you, Ben Percy? I mean, it was just around this time last year, maybe just under a year ago, where there were some stories in America that you yourself were perhaps thinking about coming back to some form of racing. The appetite maybe was coming back to do Moto America. Where are you?
That was a couple years ago, a little years ago. So there actually was something that was on the table enough to where I was definitely thinking about doing it in America for sure. Just with the amount of races and how spread out it is with the year, I thought it was possible, and I think it, could be, but yeah, it's just with all the stuff going on, it's just difficult, to put stuff together. And it was something that I wasn't just trying to jump into, but I had my options open, and I definitely, was riding the dirt bike good enough and wanted to, ride the street bike to see how I felt. But in the same time, I'm not stupid either. And with it being that many years away, everything would have to be exactly how I wanted it. and that's not always easy either. So it was one of those things I had interest for sure, but now with everything that's going, business stuff, family stuff, you know, I want to do some stuff with racing, help out where I can, but there's no, you know, no interest in that type of stuff. Again, if there's like future, you know, fun endurance races with some older guys, you know, when Jorge's 40 and I'm, you know, 45 or whatever it is, then we can do something like that maybe. But anything competitive, you know, putting it on the line like I would or it needs to be done, you know, it's past that for sure.
Yeah, maybe if Yamaha needs a top Suzuki race outline, maybe we're looking at their two of their guys that could be part of it. Yeah,
maybe you can do a Superbike test rider.
Well, maybe it's possible. The options are open for sure, but
just for fun. Yeah.
So, and you know what happens as soon as it starts.
Some will cars in the World Superbike.
It'll be the race in Indianapolis, maybe, Jorge, yeah, where he's strong like you are in Barcelona or something.
Exactly.